This session is going to be great for people who are brand new to intuition. However, it's also going to be fantastic for those of you that have been using your intuition for even just a short time or for a long time, because we're going to answer the question, am I intuitive? And then we're going to go deeper into what's my specialty? So I'm glad you joined me, and if this is your first session here, or if you've been listening for a while but you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It helps the channel, and then it makes sure that you get all future videos so we can hone that intuition together. Let's break down this session. This is what you can expect. I'm going to start by talking about why we ask the question, am I intuitive? Then I'm going to, jump right on into the answer, which is yes, you are. I hate to rip off that Band-Aid, but here we go. But beyond that, I want to talk about how different people are wired differently and how you can go beyond just that yes or no, accept the yes, and then step into figuring out your specialty. What is it that you really connect with, and how does your intuition flow uniquely for you? Are you psychic? Are you medium? Are you good at reading people who are, pregnant or older, or kids or houses or buildings? All right, let's start first with why we ask this question. Am I intuitive? Am I really? We ask this question for two reasons, which are actually the same reason, but I'm still going to break them down. All right, here's the first one. And the main one is that we've been told that we're not. We are, most of us, not all of us. And I know that this channel is global. I know that I reach people all over in all different cultures. So some of you are like, I was lucky and I was either in a culture or had parents that supported intuitive development. And for that, please give your parents a hug. I am so thankful for them. But for the other 99.9% of us, we were told that intuition isn't real. We were told that psychics, mediums, or frauds, that it's not solid, that this other thing is what's real, or unless you can see it in the material world, it doesn't exist, right? And you probably haven't heard my backstory, or maybe you have, but I used to be a skeptic all the way up to the age of 32. We're talking, I have a degree in mathematics. I had no spirituality, no religion, and it wasn't that I was against anything. I just didn't have the time of day for it. It wasn't real, wasn't in my life. So I'm speaking from some serious experience here when it comes to the training of that's not real. This is real. So from birth, we're told what to believe and what not to believe. While this can be very healthy in many, many situations, being taught to believe that you run out in the street, you increase your odds that you're going to get hit by a car, some of the beliefs are cultural and they've been passed down generation to generation, and they're limiting. And this is one of them, where intuition isn't real, it's not there. Let me throw this out at you. How many times have you heard yourself or someone else say, I saw something out of the corner of my eye? How many times have you heard yourself or someone else say, I don't know if I believe it, but there was this one time, there was this one experience that I had. And that is the sign of a culture or an environment or an upbringing where we were told something that's real isn't real. Because at some point, it showed itself. At some point, we had an experience, but we have such training within the mind to believe that that's not real, that even though we have this really powerful experience, the next day you wake up and you're like, huh? No, that's not real. I'm actually going to give you a quick tip in here, right? Little quick mini tip. When it comes to belief, right? And that's where this question stems from. Am I intuitive? That means that your belief system is struggling with the knowledge that you are. And your belief system is not you. So step one, let go of judgment. Like, oh, I doubt this all the time. Don't feel bad about doubting it. There's literally chemical things happening in your brain. There's synapses firing in your brain that have been firing in that pattern since you were a toddler. And every time somebody told you it wasn't real, the synapses in your brain went, got it, bzz, not real. Okay, got it, bzz, not real. And This is why us humans have habits, because we have synapses that fire in the brain. They fire in a certain direction long enough to where that is where your comfort level is. So even 30 years later, right? You've got the firing of synapses in your brain in the pattern of that's not real. And then you have this really powerful experience where you see something, feel something, or something happens intuitively and you're like, wow, right? Your brain, the synapses in your brain start firing in different directions like, wow, that happened. That happened. Look at that. It happened. It's real. But they're always going to go back to their old pattern. This is where you hear people say it takes 28 days to, change a pattern, 30 days. I don't know. Depending on who you talk to, it takes a chunk of days to change a pattern. And the same goes through with doubt. So here's my little box snippet, right? When you have an amazing experience, meaning you think of someone and then your phone rings and it's them, write that down. And condense this into a journal, like a notebook, or you see something out of the corner of your eye, write it in that journal. Bring all of these moments handwritten down into one location. And then when you start to doubt, open that journal back up and review. This is going to help the pattern start to release so you can start to be open to what's really happening versus what you were taught to believe. If you want to go really in depth with this, I have an entire free video. It's called the No Doubt Notebook, and it will really dive further into explaining why all of that's happening. But it's not really necessarily like your fault that you have doubt. It's a pattern. So yes, you're intuitive. We are all intuitive. But I think it's more important to talk about what's blocking us from accepting that. Now, once we accept that and we say, okay, I am, and sometimes we can only accept that at little bits of a time as we grow into changing our patterns. And that's completely, however it works for you is beautiful and perfect. But you're stepping into this and you want to explore it. If you have the question, am I intuitive? It means you want to explore if your intuitive channel is strong. I'm here to tell you that it is. I've taught tens of thousands of people across the globe. It is. It absolutely is. And it's a matter of it being covered up and cluttered. So start somewhere. I'll also put, you can also find the top 5 intuitive tools. That's another free resource, right? And just taking those tools, those videos, and watching them and then applying them, they're tools you can apply right away. And then you'll start to see patterns and you'll start to see your intuition bubbling up and starting to make itself known. And that's going to help you shift into trusting that, yes, indeed, you are intuitive. Now, I'm not talking about intuition like Nostradamus or, I'm going to predict the future of the world or anything like this. I'm talking about the intuition that says, should I take this job? Should I look for another job? Where am I at? What do I need to know? Looking for that guidance in helping the flow of your life to improve. Most all of the people that take the Sage Method course or train with me in some way, shape, or form are doing it for their own personal lives. So it's about exploring it on your own time, in your own way, and allowing yourself bits of time that you can accept the fact that you are an intuitive being. You have 6 senses. That 6th sense is there, it's strong, hasn't been used, maybe a little bit covered up with clutter. But the more you focus on these patterns and use these tools, the more you're going to start to feel what that feels like. Now, when it comes to those of you that have been using your intuition for a while, and this is, so for people who are brand new to it, that's where we're going to start. But I want you to keep listening because this is where you're going to head. This is the direction you're going. When it comes to people that have been using their intuition for a while, sometimes you use it and you get some visuals or some sounds or you feel different things or smell different things. It's different for everyone. And not all of us are visual. And not all of us can hear, not all of us can feel. So we all have a different variety. And you're getting these things that are breadcrumbs, right? You get a little hit and you see something or hear something or feel something, and you're not quite sure where to apply it. This is where you're going to want to start journaling as well. On this date, I felt this and I feel like it might be this, and then let it go. We need to bring in these moments, put them somewhere safe to say, this happened, and then move on with the day. When you're moving on with the day after you get a hit, and you write it down, what you're doing is you're saying, I acknowledge that happened. I'm keeping it right here. I'm letting it back out to the universe so I can go back out to my day and receive more. This is one way to start getting more information on a regular basis from your intuitive channel. These are the breadcrumbs. When we put them down somewhere, like in a notebook or something like this, and make note of them, and then, or even just simply say it out loud or internally, I received that. Not quite, you're not always going to be quite sure what it attaches to in the beginning, but I received that, thank you. And then you let it go and you go on to the next thing. You're opening yourself up for more information instead of remaining stuck in that past piece trying to figure it out. This is where the breadcrumbs start to pick up pace, where you start to get more breadcrumbs, and then things start to come together that make more sense. Even with that, you're going to have moments where, is it my imagination or my intuition? Am I making this up because it doesn't align with anything? It doesn't make sense. This is where you have to continue to trust and be okay with not everything in the moment is going to make sense, but down the road, it might start to make some sense and line up. This is kind of that middle, we could call it like the teen years of developing your intuition, right? Where you're just trying to figure out who you are and how this flows. It's actually a beautiful time. You explore and you try, and that's the message I really want to pass along to you, is that if you're getting these breadcrumbs, if you've already gotten past the am I intuitive, okay, I am getting intuitive hits, my intuition is starting to come through, and you're getting breadcrumbs, do the next task of saying, thank you for that item. I'm not going to try to figure it out. I'm going to put it right here, and I'm going to open up to more. This is where the breadcrumbs start to come on a more repeated basis. Then they start to line up into a nice trail, and then that trail starts to expand into what you need to see. Now, intuition is it's never a state of perfection in being able to get anything and everything we want. That's actually a block. Intuition is, hey, is there anything I need to know about this situation that I'm going to go into? Or is there anything I need to know about the situation I'm in? Is there anything that I need to know about the next steps I'm going to take? And these are where you want the breadcrumbs to line up until they line up so well that they start becoming a path, and you can follow down that path and get more clear information. Once you've done that, by the time you've done that, actually, and you've trained, perhaps you took the Sage Method course and you were able to figure out how your intuition works best for you by going through the Sage Method. Maybe you did that, and now you're starting to see some commonality in some of your intuitive events. This is where you figure out what your specialty is. This is what you figure out, where you figure out how you're wired and what your intuition really connects with. Because for some people, they're going to connect with intuitive information around children, or around elderly, or around animals, or around locations, or around, in my case, timelines and direction. Everyone has kind of a different specialty, right? Some people tap in really easily to relationship, bonding and situations and energies around relationships. Some people tap into business type things. Some people tap into earth-based issues. Some people tap into, I'm trying to think of all the different things. People tap into a variety of different things, and you're going to start to see a pattern. That's how you find out what your specialty is by doing it over and over and over and going, you know what? Every other time I tap in, I'm getting information about an animal. Well, that's your groove. Does it mean that that's all you can get? No, but it does mean that that is an area of strength for your intuition, that your intuition connects very easily into animal energy, or very easily into relationship bonds, or very easily into business or different categories. So, in summary, are you intuitive? Yes. Do you have taste buds? Yes, it's the same thing. Everyone can taste something. Everyone can get intuitive messages, right? Yes, you are intuitive. And you have to honor yourself that you need to take time. You need to take time to kind of unprogram the program of it's not real. And once you give yourself that breathing room, you'll start to see it come in a little bit smoother and quicker, and you'll be able to receive it and say thank you, and then get another breadcrumb and another breadcrumb. And then as you go and you're getting those breadcrumbs and you're looking at me and saying, hey, Bo, I don't know what this means. I'm going to tell you, keep going. Keep going. Set it down, write it down, release it, open up to the next one, release it, open up to the next message. And then eventually it starts to turn into a road and a pathway. By that time, you're going to see a pattern and you're going to see what your intuition connects to deeply, deeply. I hope this was helpful for you. I absolutely love watching people open up to their intuition because it's such a beautiful thing. And your life really does change in a very good way. We all have challenges and we all have things that are extremely difficult. Is it going to fix everything? Nope, but it is going to be guidance that is going to help you on your journey, and it's worth the time. And I guess if I'm going to leave you with anything, you're worth it. If you need a place to start with this, if you're like, well, this is all great, but how do I get started getting messages, right? I want you to look up the top 5 intuitive tools link. That's really valuable, but this is the next video that's going to help you a lot.